technical, vocational, and career opportunities throughout Collier County. So we are hoping to raise $3 million in this area. We already to date have over $1 million pledged in this area. So it feels like pretty good to have only 2 million to go to meet the needs of this community. So today, and in the newspaper today, if you get the newspaper, the Career to College paper, the issue paper is in the paper, so please make sure you grab it. If you don't get the newspaper, you can get it online at the Community Foundation website. And today, we're really excited about our panel. We have Dr. Kamala Patton, the Superintendent of Schools here in Collier County with us, and Michael Dalby, the President of the Greater Naples Chamber with us, and then also part of our team with scholarships, Laura Beatty-Ranu and Deb Olson will also be joining us along with 2 students shortly, but I'm going to hand it off to Dr. Patton. It's all yours. And I'm going to get rid of my screen. And there you go.
All right. So good morning. Thank you for letting me, Eileen, have a moment to share with such great, wonderful people. I want to just start off by saying Community Foundation, you probably shouldn't have favorites around this town. That's not a good thing to do. But the reason is because there's never been one time that we have had a need that arose. For instance, senior signs last year. We can't really pay for that out of taxpayers' money. Huge. Watch the insert right today. Your signs recently, heroes work here at every single school because it is, I know people are grateful for what our teachers are doing, but often it's just those first responders, emergency folks that people have. So thank you for all of those things that have a huge, huge impact. So really thrilled to get that opportunity to chat with you. Going to walk you through. So if some of you don't know some information about our school system, I'm trying to provide you a high level overview. So with that, we'll have the next screen is going to talk with you and you'll just be able to see here are our fast facts. So this is a screen that just tells you how many students we have, the 48,000. We're really the largest restaurant in town at 5.6 million meals that we serve. But unlike a restaurant, have to do it in a defined period of time. There you can see we now have 54,000 computers. All of our students as of now have a one-to-one initiative. So that just gives you a basic look of our district. On the next screen here, what you see are our student demographics. So what you see is the change of lesser white students in our population, and that's picked up really in our Hispanic population, and the Black population remains about the same. So that's a 10-year, 1 decade snapshot. You can see that we're increasing in our free and reduced lunch status. That's where we define with socioeconomic status is defined in education on free and reduced lunch. Usually pretty shocking to people are the percentage of kids that the second one on the right that says non-English, 55% of our kids come from homes where English is not the first language spoken at that home. So our parents want to help kids, but it's been very difficult, particularly in pandemic times. They don't even speak or read the language. And there you can see we have 96 languages and dialects. It's not what people generally think when they think Naples. That's why we talk Collier County. So the next screen that you'll see is that we're very proud to still be an A district. There are 67 districts and counties in the state of Florida. Only, as you see, 36% have earned an A the last go around, which was 2019. There was no testing in 2020. And we're only one of 11, only 16% of all 67 counties that's been an A for 4 years. So very proud of the work that we're doing. The next screen will show you where's our ranking fall. So back just almost 10 years ago, we were 33rd. So right in the middle of the pack, right? 33rd of 66. So we've gotten as high as third. We'll get right back up there, but currently tied for fifth. And when you see that demographic with the second largest ELL, English language learner population, when you see that number of students, 29,000 on free and reduced lunch, largest migrant population, over 3,000 students. And by the way, 3,000 students, there are 16 of the 67 counties in Florida, 16 don't even have 3,000 kids in them, let alone 3,000 migrant kids. So your work makes a difference with us. The next screen you'll see is where do we fall when it comes to the standardized test. So we were 30% outperforming the state. Now we're at 95% outperforming the state. That's an important thing to remember because we're going to see in a minute, where do we fall with our kindergarten readiness, where we cannot say that at all. So the next screen you'll see is the screen that we really are the most proud of because it's our graduation rate. So when you look at 2011 sitting at 72.5%, so that's just under 1 out of 4 kids, or just actually over 1 out of 4 kids were not graduating. That's absolutely unacceptable. Great school system, but unacceptable when we're sitting at 1 out of 4 kids not graduating. So we've moved that needle that you can see all the way now to 92.2%, and it's not leaving kids behind. So when you look at our migrant stat in the last 10 years, we were at 53% graduating, now sitting almost at 89%, a 35, almost 36% increase. Very proud of that work. And then also our students with disabilities. People move here because of our students with disability program, but you can see too, these are kids that were making great gains and making sure that they too graduate. So just a quick update on the next screen starts some information on COVID. What's happened since the world of COVID just about a year ago, right? March is when all that hit. So we offered 4 different learning models. You can see them on campus, Classroom Connect. That's with the synchronous teacher, like I'm doing with you now, a live teacher. The students are at home synchronously. Collier Academy would not be synchronous. When it says asynchronous, that means the kids just check in once a day, get their assignments, and they can do it whatever hour they want. Now they have timelines, but the idea is they don't have that live teacher. Or then we also had home education, which we did see an uptick of 600 kids that went into home education, but many are now out, back with us. So on the next screen, what you'll see is who's doing which model. So what you can see on this next screen here is that at the end of the first, so if we advance the screen 1, okay, there we go. So the instructional model. So what you can see is we actually started the bottom screen on the right with 60% of our kids in campus, on campus, at school. 37% were doing that synchronous learning, and 3% where they checked in and did it on their own time. So at the end of the first quarter, we jumped from 60 to 77%, and right now we sit at 89.4%. So we're waiting to hear in Florida because, to my knowledge, all the districts our sizes, similar in size, we're the highest on campus. We need to be on campus. When you heard me go through what our demographics are, we do not have all the parents that can help at home. So we're really thrilled that we have that percentage of our kids on campus. One of the things on the next screen you'll see with our strategic plan is we created a tagline now. So in this plan, it was around academics, culture, and leadership, but developing students to be college, career, which you heard Eileen talk about, and in the paper today, and life ready. So really pushing hard on those life ready skills, understand a little bit about what's mortgage mean, interest rates, how to sew on a button. We surveyed and listened to parents and kids, what do they want to know, but making sure we hit them at the right time. So even like our high schoolers told me in our senior roundtables, we don't want to hear about credit cards in 9th grade. We're not going to remember. It's not applicable then. Senior year, yes. So when we go off to college and we get all of these applications handed to us, here, buy it, get a card, then we're ready to listen. So trying to make sure that we infuse those life ready skills. The other thing we do on the next screen you'll see is we've been taking our 7th graders, minus this year, we've had to do it virtually, over to FGCU. Why FGCU, even though it's in Lee County? Because they have dorms. Our kids ask questions like, you've got to be kidding, you know, where do you sleep? They don't know because their parents have never been to a college or university. So we take them, and you can see these shirts. Interesting about these shirts, when we had Hurricane Irma, and we spotted these shirts in the gyms where people were sleeping. So it was great to see the kids still wearing them. We still see them wearing them in 8th grade. Now they're bright green for a reason. That's our district color, but so we don't lose them on the campus, by the way. So the next screen talks about that college and career readiness. Our high school NAP academies, we're very proud to have 7 NAP academies that have already reached, as you see there, the distinguished level. And we did that within the first 4 years. But again, you can see engineering, finance, health, infotech, hospitality, tourism, aerospace, aviation. We have kids that actually graduate with their pilot's license before they get their driver's license. So it's pretty neat where we have a pipeline into Embry-Riddle. And by the way, which is the second leading program for aviation in the United States, only behind the Air Force. And that aviation program is now expanded out to Immokalee. So we have it in town, out of town. It's just phenomenal watching the opportunities for our students. But part of this that you'll see on the next screen talks about work-based learning experiences. And again, a major connector into the community foundation for us in all the different hookups with our internships. They've been a huge help with us, but it's not just internships. It's all of the different self-reflection pieces, the kids where they have to get to a job fair, be interviewed, all of those kind of workplace skills. So we're really thrilled. When we look at the next screen, you'll hear about industry certifications. So if you look at the bottom, back 10 years ago or 9 years ago, we were at 878. Now you can see in 2018, not only did the state start counting these as part of the equation, they changed the rules, but we're going to catch back up to where we were because we now know what the new rule is. But one of these certifications we want to talk about is the entrepreneurship. And that's on the next slide. When it talks about our entrepreneur programs, we now have across all middle schools and all high schools. This year, we just started with the entrepreneurship program that our Cambridge students, that's our top 7th graders. Well, we have Cambridge, we're the only district in the United States that offers Cambridge wall-to-wall elementary, middle, and high school. But our 7th graders are not taking a second language arts. The first semester they took entrepreneurship, and this semester those students are taking engineering. And it's the skill set that they're learning. They have to learn to stand up, do pitches, speaking up front, work together, business plans. And in engineering, it's the thinking skill. So we're good on that either way. Eileen referenced that 30% of the kids that don't know what they're going to do, they don't go to college and universities. That's okay. We need these folks. We need them. We need welding and cosmetology and a whole slew. The HVAC, we can't even get our kids graduated and they already have a job the second they walk out because it's such high demand with air conditioning down here. So 2 schools, Lorenzo Walker in Naples, iTech out in Immokalee. So what we've now been doing for about 4 years are taking that 30% that we know are not going to college and university, and we take them right to Lorenzo Walker and iTech, walk them through, let them see the program. Same thing they've said to us for 4 years around. Didn't know the school was there, didn't know I could get financial aid because they think it's only for other college or university. So a lot of work being done here, and all of the offerings here on the next screen, all of these offerings are jobs right here that they can still live at home and earn incomes. So you can see a tagline here, career in a year, that mostly it's 12 to 14 months and they have a career, and that's what we want. Not a job working at a mall. We want a career that you're helping our economy because that 30% does not move away. So we want them with careers. Another really fun part of what we've been instituting are our graduation walks. We call them the grad walks. So on that left picture, you can see the day before graduation when the kids are practicing, we have them in their gowns and their caps, and they go visit the elementary kids. And now last year we split them up and they're now also going to middle schools. If you want to cry, come on visit next year, not this year, come visit on a grad walk day. It's just heartfelt when kids recognize teachers they had, the siblings, that's my sister. It's just phenomenal. And then we also hear, I love sports, huge, played 3 in high school, 2 in college, love it. But we really celebrate athletic signing days. So we have turned on a dime now. We are doing academic signing days. So we have a criteria for the full rides. We have academic signing days. And then 2 years ago, expanded out to career signing days for kids that are at our iTech or have an industry cert and already have a job. So the day after they graduate, they're going. It'll now boost to higher numbers because I thought about it last summer. Every kid that's going to our military right out of high school, that's a career. So we'll join and have the military kids on career signing days too. Another big initiative that we want to be sure you know about on the next screen is Future Ready Collier. Why do we want to be sure you understand this? It's a collective impact where we have 40, 50 organizations that we used to shoot out and go speak to each one separately and group a few. Now we collectively work together. But why is this so important with us and Community Foundation? Here's why. They were a partner from day one. Eileen and her shop have been a partner. So not only do you support it financially, you also provided for the leadership, because Eileen has been serving as the role as the chair of that for us. We actually meet at the Community Foundation, the management team. We couldn't be more proud to be the partner, especially with you guys, helping create that whole collective impact where 1 and 1 equals 3 instead of just 2. And all of the goals for Future Ready Collier, they steered from our strategic plan. So they didn't try and do something separate. They came to us and said, where can we plug in collectively? Can't tell you as a superintendent how great that is to have all these sets of hands. And I tell you too, they're right there for us. After Irma, last year, seniors, this year, multiple times. What can we do? One call and you get 120 people on the Brady Bunch squares. I don't know anywhere else around the state of Florida. And we've actually taken this and presented it at national platforms and around the state. And Eileen and your foundation is the absolute crux of keeping us together. So thank you. So this is the alarming statistic and why you can see one of the goals of Future Ready Collier is early childhood. Look at our scores for kindergarten readiness. We come in behind the state. I showed you all where we finish at the end. So imagine all the work we're having to do to play catch up on foundational skills. Again, that number of 55% of our kids live at homes where English isn't being spoken. So it's no wonder we start, but we've been tackling this and we're still behind the state. Struggle. We do well. We have our kids in pre-K with us in our public schools. Sure, they do well, but that's not across the board. All the kids are not in pre-K. That's why we're hoping that we could get the state to continue to move to start kids in as 4-year-olds. This year, we're missing 150 kindergarten kids, which is low compared to many of the other counties, but we're still missing them. So that you know, it's been our push, and these parents know you do not get to start in 1st grade. Your child still has to do kindergarten. We know, and we've talked, and it's a national issue. Parents were very afraid with COVID to send their kids because they're the youngest. That's fine, but you're going to still start in kindergarten. So you can see that we started this year with only 50% of our pre-K slots filled. We got up to 65%, but just to ensure next year, we're going to loosen our window and get 3 and 4-year-olds to be sure that we fill 100% of those slots. So again, the goals for Future Ready Collier to make sure that we engage with families and improve the existing programs, not trying to necessarily start more, but get the kids that are in those programs to be able to score better on our tests. So we're working with them how to do that. Early childhood with the low income. You can see some of the things that we're doing, parent academies, Dolly Parton libraries. So lots of ways that we're trying to tackle that problem. And then again, at the end, to just say thank you. That next screen, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thanks for all that you do. Be it the board members that are online, be it the donors that are online, be it the folks that are thinking about helping support this initiative. We really say thank you. Again, I tried to just summarize a few, that leadership piece and financial piece that you provide in Future Ready Collier, the internet support that your funds directly went to pay the bill for all of our hotspots. We can give them out, but who's paying for those bills? You helped with us. The support of Hurricane Irma all the way around. Our homeless support, people are shocked to always hear how many homeless students we have. Our special projects, holy cow, even though engineering is across the board, our Immokalee engineering team is the first still yet to make it to the world finals. And where was Community Foundation? Right there to help with their funding of their VEX robotic shirts for the kids. Unbelievable. The after school care programs that they continually help with. And again, whatever is our concern, and not even sometimes our concern, like when Eileen came to us and said, how about superhero signs for all of your folks? So it's not even just what we think, it's your creative thinking. Here's another way we feel we can plug in. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, Eileen, for letting me have a little bit of time. I hope I didn't talk too fast, but thank you so much for everything that each person on this call does to help our kids. Follow us. Keep in touch. We promise we will not flood your inboxes with too much, but follow us across the board.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Michael, you going to jump in?
Happy to. Well, it's tough to follow Dr. Patton there. She is a whirlwind, but we have a great partnership with CCPS, and a lot of the work you're going to hear about we do with the school districts. So let me just talk a little bit about kind of the overall chamber and the role that we're playing in this effort. And really we see us as that connector between the students and employment ideas in terms of giving students an opportunity to envision a career. It's not just a job, it's a career that we're trying to get them to lock onto there. And I think helping us being able to do that along with the Community Foundation and their support just makes all the difference with these students. So just a quick overview of the chamber. We're really all about the economy here in our community and connecting those businesses with resource, being advocates for the economy, and helping ensure that we've got informed and engaged community leadership through our leadership programs. See if I can advance here. There we go. So overview of stats about us. We have about 1,200 members. The good part about that is that they're from all types of businesses and not-for-profits and governmental agencies, all that we have access to as we go through and think about connecting students with careers. We have our own foundation. So the Chamber's Foundation, which is the Leadership Collier Foundation, 501c3, that's where we do our leadership programs through, but that's also since 2018, we've been working on work-based learning. Really, that's our talent effort. So if you see work-based learning, and I'll explain that a little bit more, but it's all about talent. And it's this idea of how important work-based learning and workforce development are to helping create a pipeline of talent into our economy here in the area. So why would we even be involved in something like this? Well, because like I said, talent is the lifeblood of our economy. All education is valuable in terms of creating a situation where an individual is prepared for work, but particularly that post-secondary education. And for us, we do a lot of advocacy on career and technical education, CTE. That career and technical education is something that is needed within our existing employers, but also can provide a pathway to diversify our economy if we have talent that has the right types of skill sets to be able to attract new employers into our area here. We've looked to do work to expand the amount of space to provide for career and technical education. And let me just kind of explain this a little bit. Many of us came from states that had community colleges. Here in Florida, we have career colleges. So that's like Florida Southwestern. But in about half the counties in Florida, half of those counties, career and technical education is provided by the Florida Southwesterns of the world. And the other half of the county, career and technical education, is provided by the school districts. We are a county that is provided by the school district. And so as we looked at our advocacy on the penny sales tax effort for infrastructure, we added in a $15 million component of that to help with expanded space for expanded opportunities for career and technical education. That's something, again, that we were able to work with the Community Foundation on and help push that comment, that concept out there to the voters. And I think it was a positive part of it. We're in the process of negotiating with the county and others on how we're going to site that location, but it's going to happen, and it'll be a part of that funding that came through the penny sales tax, which will expand the amount of space that we have for career and technical education. So think in terms of Lorenzo Walker and Immokalee Technical. Those sites are pretty much maxed out. So giving them additional space that they're able to add in additional programming, that would be the goal. We've also been talking a lot about with the Community Foundation about innovative ideas to provide more technical training to service workers that We know we have so many service workers, and unfortunately, many of them are in low skill, low wage jobs. And yet many of them do have the skill sets to be able to take on technical careers. And so looking at how we can kind of help those adults in our community gain a stronger talent, stronger career skill set to be able to go up to those higher wage, higher skill jobs. So that's another one of the efforts that we continue to work on. The whole concept here is develop a talent pool that has more technical skills to it to allow us to diversify economy and attract more tech-centric businesses. So work-based learning, let me talk a little bit about that. This is a talent development strategy that seeks to connect students with employers in some way, shape, or form so that they can figure out how they would apply their academic or their technical learning to a job, to careers. Again, the idea here is to enhance the talent pipeline of our community and then help out not only our existing employers, but future employers and future economy as well. So what's an example of work-based learning? Well, if initially many people thought in terms of, well, internships, but internships mean different things to different people. And I can tell you that businesses sometimes kind of shy away from internships, not knowing what all that means. But it can be as simple as just a part-time job or shadow days, mock interviews, worksite tours, any kind of process where we can put an employer in front of a student and have them interact. So think about during this COVID environment, we've done a number of Zoom events where we've been able to bring employers via Zoom into those classrooms and help those students to better understand what it means to work in engineering, what it means to work in healthcare and other services. Those are ways to help them to see somebody who's in those careers. We work hard to try to make it somebody that they can relate to. We have such a vast network of employees and employers that we're able to reach into there and find lots of different ways that we can put those employers in front of those students and help them to interact. Dr. Patton mentioned NAF Academies, and we work closely with those NAF Academy instructors as teachers to help connect those students that are in various NAF Academy programs to employers and bring those employers into the schools. So if you think of anything from this presentation, it's this concept that we are that connector between the employers that are out there and the students who are looking at these various careers. How do we do this work? Well, we're fortunate. We have a full-time director of work-based learning, Alex Bro, who helps us to be able to do this work. She's there in the picture. How do we fund it? Well, it's through our businesses. So again, remember that our businesses pay into the Chamber of Commerce. We are not a government agency. We're a 501c6, not-for-profit, a private not-for-profit. But those businesses help cover the costs of doing this kind of work because they know how valuable it can be here in our community to have that talent pipeline. And we're also fortunate that we've had some grants and foundational funding to come into this work as well. Some of that has come from the Community Foundation. Some of it has come from the Naples Children's Education Foundation, the Winter Wine Festival. And all of that comes together to help us to be able to push these programs out to the students, to the school district, work with them, and be able to deliver this type of programming. It's free for the students. It's free for the employers, except that any employer that's going to do something with the student, if they're going to employ that student in some way, whether it's an internship or a part-time job, we require them to pay the student. So there's no such thing as a free internship. We want them to be paid because they are providing value to that employer. And we're going to work really close with all the employers and all the educational institutions, whether it's public, private schools, whether it's homeschool, whether it is the colleges, universities, all of those, we try to work to make those connections happen. So it's just the idea of essentially trying to get students out into the business world, to the career worlds, so they can see what that means. It can be in a group, it can be one-to-one. We've had some tremendous stories of students. In fact, on the student that is featured on that newspaper article, again, was one of those ones that we helped make that connection happen. The students obviously benefit from this in that they begin to understand what it means to be on a career path. Sometimes they learn what careers they don't want to do. Sometimes they learn the careers that they really do want to do, and they are able to see somebody who's doing that work and saying, that's the kind of job, career that I would like to have in the future. One of the things we can do through this effort is help them to better understand what we call foundational skills or soft skills. Just the ability to understand how to interact on one-to-one with customer or with employers, with work in teams with other staff members, understand how to use office equipment, office technology, all those kind of things, which are just kind of basic skill sets that they need to learn. And through these efforts, they can learn that work. And they build their networks. Their networks are important. They start to know other people that they can talk with. We've had great examples of students as they've gone on to other training, gone on to college, that have then connected back with their mentors that they've got received through us, business individuals that are in those careers, and been able to talk with them about what they need to do next as they continue to study and learn. So really, it's overall lots of different benefits for the students. For our community, the idea is, again, all about talent. It's to create that talent pipeline, particularly with emerging talent or talent that's coming out of our schools, and not let that talent get away from us. Even if it goes off to college, someplace outside of our area, we want them to know that they can find careers back here in Collier County, that it's possible, and that they can be able to have a careers and find the right jobs at the right levels here as well. The other concept is getting them to spread the word among their own peers, being able to have other students to understand what work's being done. We like it because they become advocates for our community. Frequently, they don't know much about our community. They go to school, they know the things that are close to them, but they don't know the fullness of our community, and may only think that all that happens here is tourism and senior services. But there's much more to it than that. So what's been the impact? Well, these are numbers of impacts. So over the time, this past year, kind of what we've been able to work with the educators, with the employers, and with students. But I'll tell you, the real impact is long range. The long range impact is to have a student who gets a vision of a career and then goes and completes the post-secondary training and education for that career, and then ultimately may come back here and then be a part of our economy. Or they're going to be a part of the economy someplace else in our country, but they're going to have economic opportunity and economic empowerment for them. That's ultimately what we're trying to do through all this work, is to give them that vision of that career that's going to empower them. I'll just stop there, and I know there may be some opportunity for questions later, but want to again thank the Community Foundation and all the funders who have helped us to be able to do this work. We're always looking for individuals and other groups that can help us to fund the expansion of this work. We continue to take it out into more and more schools. We want to be able to touch more and more students, and the ability to give them that vision of a career and what it means to work in certain things, particularly when they're not really familiar with some of those careers that are out there, broaden their horizons and give them that vision. So again, Alex's contact information is there. Please feel free to reach out to me or Alex. And thanks again, Eileen, for this opportunity to be able to talk.
Thank you so much, Michael. We really appreciate your time. That's a great point about questions. Just want to let everyone know that we're going to hold the questions to the end. Feel free to use the chat box, or if you want to ask it in person, you're welcome to do that at the end. But now I would love to introduce our own team member here at the Community Foundation, Laura Beatty Ranu, to talk about our scholarship program.
Thank you, Julie. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And thank you all so much.
I think Michael, wait, hold on. Michael, there you go.
Yep, it takes a minute. Thank you all for joining us. As Julie said, I'm Laura Beatty Ranu, Director of Education and Scholarships at the Community Foundation. And today I just want to share some exciting information and trends that we're seeing regarding private scholarships in our community. So over the past several years, we have experienced incredible growth in our scholarship program. In 2015, when the Community Foundation first came to the table with others to discuss how we can better address degree attainment challenges the students in Collier County face, our scholarship assets were at nearly $3.8 million. Now, nearly 6 years later, and with more than 29 years under our belt in scholarship administration, our scholarship assets are $7.4 million and growing. Today, we administer more than 80 unique awards and have distributed $7.1 million in scholarship grants to more than 1,600 students in Collier County since 1991. So the same growth that we've seen in our internally managed scholarships, we've also seen on Scholarship Connector, which is a centralized site for students to search and connect to local, state, and national scholarships. And we are also seeing an increase in the number of visitors to the site. Collier County Public Schools, Florida Southwestern State College, and Florida Gulf Coast University are the top sources driving traffic to the Scholarship Connector, and FGCU actually makes up nearly 48%. So at this time, I would like to introduce Jason Francoeur, who is one of our current scholarship recipients who will be graduating this spring. So I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing for just a moment. And Jason, you can go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hello, everyone. It's always kind of crazy to see that old picture of myself because I look so different now. But I just want to thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. I want to start off by thanking the private scholarships and just the ability that they have given me to kind of take away the stress of not having to focus on the financial demands of school and to be focused on just the scholarship, just the school experience in general. The Russell Fleshman Memorial Scholarship has really helped me to do that. And it's just been a blessing to be able to have that scholarship. And I was able to obtain it through the Scholarship Connector. And I'm just so grateful to be able to have such a resource as that, to be able to find scholarships all in one place, because I was so frazzled trying to look for other scholarships, but it just made it really simple. And it's been something that I've been able to share with my younger brother and sister, my little brother who's a junior, and my sister who's also, she was a sophomore in college who's still looking for scholarships. So I'm just so grateful and appreciative of the Scholarship Connector and the scholarship that I received. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. All righty, so really quickly, I'll go ahead and share my screen again, and I'll continue. So that same growth that we've seen extends to the number of students served. We had more than 307 students receiving one or more awards just last year out of over 550 applicants. And through the common application, which is how most of our scholarships run through that are administered by the Community Foundation, this generated 3,156 scholarship opportunities compared to 453 from the previous year. So you can see the jump in how many scholarship opportunities are available for students in the area. And also last fiscal year, we saw a record growth in awarding as we distributed $1.4 million in awards to students, which is an increase of 37% over the previous year, with the average award amount being around $2,500. So some trends that we are seeing show a steady increase in awards, students, and volume. And this can be seen by a total of 515 applicants so far this year having completed our scholarship application. And we still have some scholarship opportunities that are still ongoing. This year, the common application has thus far generated 4,631 scholarship opportunities with an average of 8 scholarships per applicant. So again, you see it's already over 1,000 increase in scholarship opportunities. And the Community Foundation is on track to complete scholarship season with over 600 applicants this year. So some ways that you can all support the scholarship program include establishing your own scholarship fund through the Community Foundation or giving to existing funds to help increase their impact in the community. Our hope is that individuals like you all can continue to provide the funding for students to meet their educational goals through scholarships, and for us to be able to continue meeting the growing need in our community. So at this time, I would like to introduce Ruthina DeVaristis, who's another scholarship recipient who recently graduated. So briefly, again, I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen so you can all hear Ruthina.
Hello, my name is Ruthina Desvaris. I'm a Bachelor of Science in Nursing graduate from Nova Southeastern University. I would like to take this opportunity to thank the Community Foundation and the Green Heron Scholarship. You made it all possible for me to be speaking with you all this morning and graduate. The Green Heron Scholarship alleviated a huge financial burden for my family and I. Instead of stressing how my school will be paid for and working long hours, I was able to focus on my courses, be an active sister to my siblings, and a supportive daughter to my mother who is battling cancer. Now that nursing school has come to an end, I am currently studying for my nursing boards. With that being said, I was born and raised in Naples, Florida. Therefore, my goal is to work at one of our local hospitals as a cardiac nurse and one day become a nurse practitioner that will give back to the city. Thank you for this chance. I will forever be grateful. Thank you.
Thank you, Ruthina. And lastly, I just want to make sure that you all know you are welcome to contact us at any time. As Eileen mentioned, I work with Deb Olson, who's a scholarship coordinator. So feel free to reach out. And I just want to end with the quote from the first slide from Eileen that says, you know, we believe that working together makes all the difference in the community we all love. So it just captures exactly why we do what we do. And I just want to thank you all for joining us this morning.
Julie, you're on mute. Well, I think she was going to say, well, we'll do any questions. You know, here's our opportunity for any of the speakers. Any of you have questions, let's just jump in and unmute yourselves and have a conversation.
This is Jackie. I do have a question. One of the things that I love best about Europe and their education system, they do have a track system where, you know, it's not the same anymore. But the idea is every student graduates with some type of trade marketable skill, every student. So it's, I'm thinking this is more for Dr. Patton. Is this something that Collier or maybe other states may consider making a part of the education system?
Yeah, there's no real talk to formally do that. I think where
Yeah.
Florida's trying to go is like, that's why they're pushing on and made the industry certifications part of the school accountability system and the district accountability system to make sure that each student, because they used to just count the number of certifications and now it's each child, what's the percent of your kids that got the industry cert. So again, to say like we recognize that before they mandated it, that's why our numbers have jumped from 899 to now going back to the 4,000, because you don't have to tell us that, we get that. So that's why it's important for us to continue these partnerships, especially for that 30%, to have those technical ones like what Michael Dalby talked about. So and I thank you for the question, by the way. Our long range plan also is that within 2 years, that we get students, we have 500 at Lorenzo Walker Technical High School, they're high school students, but in 2 years, we want to grab that 30% kids and give them the opportunity during the day to go 1 or 2 periods over to the technical schools. And that building that Michael's talking about, that would give us a third potential. We're going to hope it stays in North Naples. So we'd have a Immokalee covered, in town covered, and then the north end of town covered, so that we can make sure it's going to cost us more because we don't get extra money to transfer the kids on buses over there that need it, but it's worth the investment to have these kids step out with that career.
Wonderful. Thank you for that initiative. It really does make a difference because number one, the greatest challenge is supporting kids so they can graduate. But once you graduate without any marketable skill, these kids work at McDonald's or Burger King when they can be in a career where they can be making substantial monies to acquire or attain some wealth.
And insurance. That's the other thing we're trying to explain to kids. You know, when you work an hourly job, you don't have insurance. So that's another one of these life skills that we're trying to help them understand.
Okay, thank you.
And can I jump in just a minute, Michael? Maybe you could address this, but as we did the study and we started talking about a particular program called Per Scholar that you're aware of, we've talked about wanting to bring that into Collier County. It's about $250,000 to bring that program in. But just in case somebody on this call may have some interest in that, do you just want to touch on that for a second and what that program is around technical?
Sure, it's an opportunity really for adults, and primarily adults that are unfortunately in those low wage, low skill jobs, to be able to get technical training in IT skill sets. So everything from IT help desk to web support, web design to coding. And it's this group is called Perscolis. They're out of New York. You can look them up, but they do a lot of work with individuals that are in low and moderate income situations, and being able to help them to move up the career ladder and the wage ladder, to be able to have, again, that higher skill and more marketable skill set. We need IT workers here in Collier County. I mean, that's one of those areas that there's a shortage in Southwest Florida for IT skills. But it's really, this one focuses in on the adults. So if you think about somebody who got out of school and maybe ended up, unfortunately, with not getting much more in post-secondary education and kind of finding themselves in a dead-end job, this is a way for them to transition out of that. And they have a tremendous, Perscolis has a tremendous way of helping individuals realize that they do have an aptitude for IT work. Many great people don't necessarily have to get a 4-year college degree to do that work, although many of them continue on in their educations once they realize they have that aptitude to be able to do that work. So this is, again, one of these opportunities to bring another type of training, another type of program into our county to help improve our talent and skill sets.
And Eileen, just to piggyback on what Mike's saying here, so Lorenzo Walker has become a pipeline for IT. As a matter of fact, I just met our newest employee yesterday. We're up to about 7 that have graduated, and we grab them right for us with our huge technology needs, especially now with the one-to-ones. So he's exactly right. It doesn't take a 4-year degree. There's a whole in between there. And then Eileen, the other one I forgot to mention, I'm be remiss. I know you talked about the scholarships, but again, for the folks that are on the line, Eileen came to us with the idea that scholarship connector. We were leaving money all over the place here, even if it's a Rotary Club that Cam said she wants this and she's going here. I changed my mind, so that money sat. Now there's a pipeline. So if Cam doesn't take it, Eileen takes it. If Eileen happens to not do what she planned, Michael Dalby's the 3rd one. So we're not leaving money, and it's made it so much easier for kids. They go to one location to get scholarships. So we have to thank the Community Foundation that brought that idea and then developed it for the use of our kids. And then hopefully too, next year, hopefully we're going to launch an alumni association. Because when you look at who our graduates are, my goodness, they're amazing people doing amazing things, that we might be able to connect kids even more with our alumni for internships, job shadowing. So a lot of people, when we talk to, we're like, we're willing to help. We don't know how. So to think that we could be stepping it up to grab some other folks to help is exciting too.
So I just wanted to bring to the forefront a little chatter that's happening in our chat box. Some questions from Giselle Wagner related to tracking these students, both for the chamber and for our CFCC team. Are we tracking how, if these students are staying in Collier County? And from this Community Foundation side, are we tracking where our students end up?
I mean, I can jump in and talk from the chamber side. You actually got the answer in there from Alex Bro, who's listening in on this session there. But like the students that we have a relationship with through our Youth Leadership Collier program, we can track them pretty well and know what happens with them. We have a long track record of working with students through Youth Leadership Collier for a number of years, and are able to, even as they go through college, complete college, and know those ones that come back here into our community. So we have that. But as we expand out into more and more students, that is actually one of the long-term goals for us, is to be able to say, let's do that longitudinal study that goes over many years, maybe 5 to 7 to 10 years. How does that work within that individual's life, that they had this career experience early on, they moved into that career, did they come back here, did they go someplace else and start their career but eventually come back here? All those things are things that we do want to try to track eventually.
Great.
And on CFCC's end, we have started a more concerted effort to track. And so we've started doing mid-year and end-of-year checks with our scholarship recipients just to make sure that they're not falling through the cracks, or that if something does happen, you know, we're not hearing about it when it's too late and we can't really do much at all. So we'll continue to kind of build that. It does get a little hard after the first year to continue communication. We are hopeful that the new system will allow us to just have more updated information so that we can continue to know when students, you know, change their phone numbers or other contact information. But that, because that's the first hurdle, you know, we send out communication and it goes nowhere because they changed their email and that kind of thing. So definitely thinking about that and trying to address it and moving forward, build on that.
Great. And another question from Pat Aiken O'Neill about Future Ready Collier. Just sharing that it's been such a unique collaborative success, and she's wondering if Cam or Eileen can provide a little capsule of its history and outcomes.
Cam, you want to go or you want me to go? You can go.
Yeah, let me let you go, but I lost what the question was there.
Just a little bit more description and color about Future Ready Collier and its success and outcomes.
Yeah, so you go first, I'll go behind you, Eileen.
Okay, so I mean, that started about 5 years ago when Susan McManus with Champions for Learning brought a kind of a group together, primarily funders, and started having a discussion about how do we all get on the same page around education. So a steering committee was created, about 13 at that point, of us sat around the table, leaders in the community, about how we look at education. Obviously, the school district was the big key here because they have all the statistics and the data. And so, you know, it was very clear very quickly that the key here is early childhood, to make sure those kids are ready for school, and then what happens when they graduate. So it created like two arms. One, that all the early childhood organizations started to come together to figure out what is it we need. And what we learned, sadly, is that there's about 4,000 spots we needed in Collier County for early childhood. That waiting lists are long. You know, by the time the kids get through the waiting list, they're already going into first grade. And then the college and career group had come together, and it actually ended up being about 60 nonprofits, 60 education nonprofits in this county who are working together every month. Goals are set up for each one of those groups, and they work as a team to accomplish that. It is a collective impact model. And I've been on many collective impact models, but I've never seen one that had 60 organizations. Usually about 10 is the max. But the other interesting thing it created, particularly for the steering committee of 20 or so, is really a trust factor. And you know, you're not going anywhere on collective impact if you can't trust who's around the table. And if it did nothing else, it brought 60 organizations together that are trusting each other, that are going to each other, and we are trying to stop duplication of services and finding the gaps, and people are stepping in to try to deal with the gaps. So this is a very large and I think somewhat unique situation here in Collier County, but we have made huge strides in the areas, just a variety of things, from FAFSA being accomplished, policy changes at the school district, data so we understand which programs are working and which programs are not working. But it's been amazing to see this group work together. So Pam, you can take it.
Yeah, I would say that's exactly right. I think 10 years ago, you saw people that worked in silos. So exactly what Eileen said, it's the trust factor, it's duplicative efforts, right? So when we have donors that we're giving to multiple organizations, trying to overlap or cut that overlap was really important so we could fund more. Then from the school systems part, finding out, like, don't purchase software programs. These are the programs we have. Here's what the kids should be doing. Use our software. So it's that collaborative work that has been just phenomenal. And then to get the words out, like when we had a little bit of a problem getting the kids to register on time, we had 60 people that all got to the parents in different ways to get the word out, get in and get your kid registered, because they missed like 2 weeks of school at the beginning of the year. These kids don't need to miss 2 weeks of school at the beginning of the year. So from something small like register to big things of use of funds better. So that's why I say that with the great donors that are online, to know that your funds we're really doing a great job of being together and making sure we're not doing duplicative types of services. And again, where can you use what the school system's already purchased so you're not having to purchase those? Now they know every kid has a laptop, so they don't need to be buying computers anymore. So it's those kind of things that make a big difference, to take the dollars and stretch them as far as we can.
And just, I have to do a shout out for Champions for Learning, because they are the backbone of Future Ready Collier, meaning that as we raise money in the community, it's about $200,000 a year for them to be the backbone to keep 60 organizations organized, going down the path they need to go down, making sure it continues to move forward. Because a lot of times what happens with collective impact models is they kind of peter out. Like everybody gets together and they're ramped up for about 3-4 years, and then it starts to wane. That is not the case here at all. It continues to grow. And I think because we have an amazing backbone organization, but it does cost $200,000 a year to run this. And that's one of the things in this campaign. The Community Foundation wants to make sure we have $1 million raised in that area, so that we don't have to worry for the next 5 years about how we're going to fund this thing. Because it's very important we keep it together because of the amount of progress we've made in this community. So again, technical college support, scholarships, you heard it from the kids. I mean, it's great. I call them kids. I know you're all adults, but it's great to hear about, the impact scholarships have had in your lives to help you really take a different path than maybe what you thought you were going to be taking when you were a freshman in high school. So it's important we continue to support this. And again, as you look at our campaign, it's not about money for the Community Foundation. It's about addressing these issues and getting the money out into the community, not having it sit here at the foundation in any level. So I just want to make sure we touch base.
And Eileen, on that Future Ready Collier, the other thing is what I love about it, it's not the high level CEO, the superintendent. We're on a management team, but the work groups are actually like, they get our senior staff, 4 people that are at those monthly meetings. So it's the folks doing the work that's actually at those group meetings, which is very different. Often it's just the top folks, which is fine. And we're on that management team, but that's what I love too, because it gets deep into the organization's roots, when you have the actual folks doing the work, and that's a real blessing.
Mm-hmm.
Julie, anything else? I know it's just about 10, so.
Yeah, just gonna wrap up quickly. Just wanted to give everyone our information in the event they have additional questions we didn't get to. Also, if you want to get involved with education and employment and moving the needle here in Collier County, get in touch with us or any of our terrific speakers today. And a quick shout out to look for those issue papers in the Naples Daily News the next several Fridays. And please join us for our future topics, similar to this format today on March 5th to March 19th. So we look forward to seeing you all again soon. And we just want to thank our awesome speakers today for all the work that you do in our community. We are very grateful.
Thank you.
Thank you everyone for joining us.